Charlie and Damon here from Games, Brains, and Head-Banging Life. gbhblofficial.com for short. They made what into a TV series, Castlevania Nocturne, and we wrap up season 2. It's episode 8, a line of great heroes. And this is where we say goodbye to the show for the foreseeable future. Hopefully not forever, but just for now, we have to say goodbye, sadly. But there we go. We love it nonetheless. Written by Clive Bradley, directed by Sam Dietz and Adam Dietz. Here we go. Let's talk it through. So, Super Drolta. Now, that's an endgame boss. And I love, right, tying into what I said in a previous episode review, just to add the extra patheticness, the way she hoofs a resurrected body into, like, the trees, it's so sad. It's genuinely like she was nothing in the end.
Garbage. Yep, garbage. Yep.
Yeah, garbage. Exactly that. As she goes to attack Richter, Alucard steps in the way. And we get that also blood rage moment. The screaming, his eyes turning red. You're like, okay, this is it. Super Drolta versus Super Alucard, basically. It's a superpowered fight. And while Richter wants to protect Annette, he has no choice but to fight Drolta. They basically need to weaken her so Sekhmet can draw her souls out. And finally, for the first time in the season, it is simply an Alucard and a Belmont side by side. And obviously, together, very, very powerful, both fighting for things they love. But so is Drolta, but not quite enough, especially when Sekhmet rises and takes over. And, oh, man, Drolta on her knees, I thought it was what you wanted. Imagine you've spent your entire life believing in an ideology, and more than your entire life, lifetimes, decade, centuries, getting the ideology so confused and it basically being fucking confronted by the thing, and that thing saying, you're pathetic, you're wrong, and this is not who I am. And you know what I mean? And you are, calls her a thing, an unhuman thing. I'm like, Matt, like, that's your world. What's the point of going on, right? That's just, what's the point, right? It's horrible. Sekhmet in Annette's body absorbs her souls out of Drolta's body. And Richter, seeing that it is killing Annette, begs Sekhmet to not go through with it. I almost cry at this part in the second watch because of how they do it. So he's rushed forward and he's wrapped his arms around Annette's body and he's saying, Sekhmet, look, I don't care if the world's dark and it creates this whatever, just don't kill Annette. Like, he loves her and love will make you do mad things. But then silence hits. Just silence. Like, it's just a silence and that clean voice. Richter, my friend, you know that's not what she would want. And it's just like, immediately, Richter, his face, he knows it. He also knows his role in this. And he doesn't argue. I love that he doesn't argue. Alucard puts his hand on his shoulder and Richter just lets go of Annette and steps back. Because to protect the world, the greater good, the bigger picture, you have to sometimes... And this is the thing about Belmont and the lineage, and Alucard understands it, and it's something that happens non-fucking-stop. You lose sometimes a lot as a Belmont, and it goes back to Juiced, when he lost, it was too much for him, but he found himself again. This is effectively Richter learning that loss is going to have to happen. It doesn't quite play out that way, but at the time, that's what it is all about. Loss.
It also explains a lot, like, you know, why Trevor was such a loner at the beginning of the first season and a half, and obviously finding Cypher.
Every Belmont is broken when we first fucking meet them. The only difference is we come to Richter earlier in his life. He's already suffered the loss of a fucking move. Every Belmont suffers because a Belmont's job is to defeat evil. That comes with costs.
Yep.
And it will continue until the line ends. Well, do you know what I mean? But that, you know what I mean? That ain't happening. It's Castlevania. It's been running and going for decades. But this shit brings a tear to my eye.
I mean, and obviously Alucard's ability to, I don't know, it's you finally get to feel the bond between, again, Alucard and the Belmont again.
Yeah. It's an incredibly moment, and I'm glad they didn't drag this out. This could have taken a whole episode, but they actually kind of do this quickly at the start. And Sekhmet is whole, going back to the spirit world, leaving Annette's body in the real world, broken and empty. So where is she? Still fighting her own battle in the spirit world, but seemingly defeated. However, across ages, right? Because that's just Belmont's, that's love for you. The voice of Richter calls to her. And he kind of whispered at first. I love how they do it. It's like, Annette, Annette. And then she's kind of closing her eyes. And then you get that loud shout that wakes her up. She finds the strength to stand and fight. And with his encouragement, she's able to beat the monster and then basically heads back. There's a great shot of her paddling away. And we see the three souls of Sekhmet united again, returning and becoming one. And I love they don't even look at her. Oh. They just they're just going home. Everything's balanced again. They're not looking. They're just going home. That's all they're gonna do where they belong.
Yeah, it's not like or waving at her. You know, it's like you're no one to us basically. We're God. So, yeah.
I almost thought they didn't even see her.
Mm.
That's the thing. It was always about togetherness and be reunited. They're one. But yeah, it would have been weird if they're like, come visit us again, bro. Yeah. You know, we get lonely in that temple. She wakes up and Richter is overjoyed to see her, hugging her tightly. Now, I said to Damon before we started recording this little run of episodes, remind me of something that is worth criticizing on second viewing. Now, this moment here of Richter like calling at Annette and all of that, right? And Drolta having lost the souls. Okay, what the hell is she doing at this point, Drolta? So basically, what happens now is we now cut to Drolta, who I guess has been driven mad by her entire world collapsing around her. Like, driven mad. But in the part where she lost the souls and Richter was talking to Annette and trying to encourage Annette out, and then when she comes around, she's hugging. What is Drolta doing? Is she just standing there watching? Like, why didn't they cut to show Drolta like drop to her knees, maybe unconscious, something, and then she kind of wakes back up, just something? But I was just like, is she just sort of standing there waiting? It's like I thought, I thought Street Fighter dizzy. She's dizzy. She's been like like that video game dizziness, right? I thought it's a small thing. But the fact I was like, what's she doing? Just waiting? She's standing up. Hey, Richter, we got to finish our fight. You know, come on. Like, what's she doing? Like, at that point.
Yeah, it's true. So I've seen it through 3 times, and I didn't pick up on that. Yeah,
it's a small thing, but it's only on a rewatch, and it's just one of those where it's a minor complaint. Really, not that big of a deal. But it is time that end this once for all, especially as Alucard gets a fucking sword driven through him. I guess you missed his heart.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, there is no. This is it. Richter, he's had enough. Like, he's had enough, and this is. Let's put the emphasis on it. This is Richter fucking Belmont, and it's quite simply. I don't think there are several deaths I love from the Castlevania show. I love the silence of Dracula being killed by Alucard, the quietness, the sword, how it's done. I love Trevor's explosive finale with death. But this might be the most stunning death of how it's done. Just the whole, oh, that's something, isn't it?
Yeah.
You will see this picture screenshotted to death. I've used it in a review. It is the shot of Richter Belmont, half his face, and one eye glowing, like the shadow on his face, and him just looking like destruction personified to the point where Drolta kind of goes,
yeah,
you know? But it's more than that. He also has backup, all rocks, and Alucard. And it's the sword. Well, it's the sword he creates. That big-ass thing. It's like a Final Fantasy fucking sword. And he just brings it after... Well, basically, every time she attacks him, she does no damage. And every time he punches her, it's like he's cracking her apart. He's breaking the entity that is her. Like she's made of stone and he's breaking her. And she can't do shit about it. And then that sword, and like, I love how they do it. He brings it crashing down on her. And we don't see her. We cut to a building, like in a distance, like cutting. And then you see Alucard kind of look at it and like, the fuck? And then he cut to Drolta and the frame breaks in half. And like, that's it. She's dead. Like, that's it. And like, what? I mean, if you're going to go out, what a way to go out, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
And with her dead, the eclipse begins to end. And yeah, then we get Olrox and Richter staring each other down. Well, Olrox as the snake. I love that. I think Olrox knew he was going to die here. Like he didn't try to run. I think he knew it was pointless. He just witnessed Richter Belmont do something that, well, we're gonna run. We're gonna run team. You know what I mean? It's now or never.
Yep.
But Richter says to Olrox, I will kill you one day. And he has to, because Belmont must destroy vampires. And Olrox has still done evil things and will do more. For what you did to my mother, but not today. And he drops the sword. And I'm really glad, way to do it is Olrox doesn't say thank you or anything pithy or anything. He just goes. He got a reprieve. He goes. Elsewhere, Maria, sorry, go on.
No, I was just going to say it's Richter's way of saying thank you for your assistance, but this ain't over.
No, God, no. God, no. You killed a Belmont. And you were still a vampire doing vampire stuff. Like, let's not. I know Olrox is a complex character, and you know what I mean, but vampires are vampires, and Olrox still drinks blood and kills.
Yeah.
Elsewhere, Maria and Juice reunite, with Richter, Alucard, and Annette enjoying the sun and surveying the damage to Paris. Juice and Alucard talk. Alucard tells him of his travels. If you mention Japan one more time, you fucker. But he does say, look, I kind of disappeared for a while because Juice is all like, I just didn't see you much and all that. And obviously Alucard's sarcastic about it, as always. But he says, look, I was exhausted with the Belmonts. He leaves a little pause, but then says dying. And you get it from Alucard's point of view. You love Belmonts, you've been around them, you've had relationships with all of them, but they all die eventually.
Yeah.
Annette reveals to Richter that she will go home to continue to fight for freedom there. Basically, she's going to go home. Look, Saint Dominique, it's still a slave colony. It's still got vampires. I'm going to go there and go to hell. And Richter's obviously like, oh. She's like, well, you can come with me, you know. We're like, well, duh. And Richter goes to see Maria, who's looking over the ruins of the Bastille. She reveals that Tara left to find herself. She's kind of cold on Richter to begin with, but she does hug him and tells him, look, I'm going to stay in Paris. I'm going to help rebuild it and work with them. And she says, look, will you stay? But and I'm really glad we didn't make a big thing of this. He says, look, I'm going with Annette. I'm like, good. I'm glad we didn't do a whole, Richter's torn. And or that Maria was going to be angry with him. She's disappointed at first, but she tells him, look, no, it's all right. You got to do your thing. And to be honest, I think, considering all the stuff that happened with Tara and all that, separation might be good for them. Yeah. She still harbors a lot of resentment towards Richter. Maybe absence will grow the heart fonder. She says that we will see each other again, you know? Edouard comes to Annette, and he's kind of basically said, we achieved what we came in to do. And he's like, but obviously, he's a night creature. How the hell does he fit in this world? But Annette is really matter of fact about it again, and I love this. She's just like, you're coming home. And he's like, well, I'm a monster. And she's like, well, you know there's nightmares, more nightmares back there than anything you can conjure up. You won't be a nightmare there. And I was like, yeah, I like this idea, this angle.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
This is all very neatly wrapped up. But we kind of have, it all feels very final. Do you know what I mean? Everybody's going their separate ways. But we do want a future season, so we have to set some stuff up. And in what I consider the most outrageous, shocking, throw my fucking shoe at him. Elsewhere in Paris, Olrox carries a badly hurt Mizrak to a bed. He is dying. He's dying. And he's scared. He's afraid of hell. And I was like, damn it. In the end, you were no different than the abbot. You still feared. And it's fine to be scared of fucking hell. It's fine. But damn it, that weakness at the end. I think it's because he shows that weakness. This is why what happens, you know?
Yeah.
Not willing to let him die. Olrox saves him by turning him into a vampire. You prick. You don't get to decide that. You didn't ask him. You fucker.
It's selfish, and it could cause resentment.
Wow, we'll get to another scene in a bit, but fucking hell, that, you selfish. And I think that's what Olrox's biggest problem is. He loves too much, and it makes him selfish.
Yep.
This was horrible, and I hated it. I'm excited for what it might mean for a future, but goddamn, did Mizrak deserve better than this?
it could also they could eventually elaborate. Maybe his previous partner who was killed by the Belmont, maybe he did the same thing, and maybe he seeked out the Belmont to kill him. Who knows?
I think. Well, you're doing your Damon reach there. Goodness
Yeah,
me,
yeah,
that's a reach. But just oh man, was I angry with all rocks here? You
yep.
know, I don't want to see Mizrak die, but I'd rather see him die honorably. But him, but what a way to write the character as well. In his final moments, he was scared, and it's human. He knew he was going to have to face his own crimes. He did help that abbot. He did evil too.
Yeah, exactly. And for obviously going by the Bible, obviously he's in a obviously a second
Well,
in a
he's this conflict, the homosexual relationship he has
yeah,
with Olrox, obviously is a big issue for the Bible. We know that as well.
yeah, yeah,
There's a
yeah.
lot of shit, Olrox, mate. You've never but what but what made him lay it, and what I always thought was intriguing was the fact that even for all of that, that he knew he was doing wrong, he still kept his faith. That
Yeah,
to me is a true believer in God, because we all sin, right?
yeah, of course.
But we find absolution as it goes on in theory. And I'm not a religious man, but I understand the nuances of it. It is not black and fucking white. The problem is, Mizrak has seen hell. He
Hmm.
knows it exists. If you know it, imagine we knew now in reality heaven and hell existed. How would you live your life, right? You'd live it
Oh
differently,
yeah,
wouldn't you?
of course.
There you go. Right. Night has fallen and Paris is celebrating, and our group are saying their goodbyes. Maria, Just, and Alucard are staying in Paris to help rebuild and continue to fight for freedom, while Richter, Annette, and Edouard sail back to Saint Dominique. I thought it was really interesting that Alucard's going to stay in Paris for a while, see what's going on there. Excited about their revolution, as it were. Now, of course, we'll know where that goes eventually, and I presume we'll have stories to tell there.
Hmm.
And on the boat, things get romantic between Richter and Annette. Boom! Listen, folks. Remember, we gotta continue a lineage. So Rick, Belmont's got to bang.
Yep. Well, yeah, exactly. The line has to continue. So
Exactly that. But it is quite sweet and romantic. She's helping with his burns. It feels quite nice. They've been through a lot together. I like it. It's kind of sweet.
yeah,
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 I like both characters.
indeed.
And I would be fascinated if they are to have a child together. I'll be fascinated to see the which Belmont that is. Like I've been meaning to actually do a sort of Wikipedia dive of the Belmont lineage and see which characters, because I know a lot of names, but which
Mm.
ones are coming from who and which ones follow who and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Because remember as well, we don't always have to follow a video game. They can come at their own.
yeah, yep.
It's all very nice, especially as Edouard sings and he's singing on that boat, and you're like, this is nice. Until it's not. Motherfucking show. You couldn't just leave us happy, could you? Because two particular groups are going to upset you now for the ending. As we cut to the vampire Mizrak, I was not happy saying that. As he's reborn and seems to, I don't know what the fuck he is now. Because he kind of, he's aggressive with Olrox, who almost seems to have lost his life, his spirit. He's weak in the power of Mizrak, who climbs on top of him
Mm.
and just aggressively drinks his blood. It's like, fuck, what's he created here?
Hmm.
What monster has he created?
In death and turning into a vampire, did he make a deal with the devil? Or saying, you never
Well, I
know.
mean, obviously becoming a vampire, the eyes you lose your fucking soul, right? You lose your humanity. But like the fact, I mean, it's just, and with fucking Edouard singing away as well, it's like, it made me feel really uncomfortable, you know?
Mm.
I didn't want this for either character, but honestly, and you know what I think they did it for? Well, a major part where they did it. We need to remember Aurochs is not a good, he's a vampire.
Yep.
And a Belmont needs to kill this fucking vampire, you know? The other, though, Maria, Alucard, and Juiced, who are witnessing more executions. Basically, France has decided, let's just keep beheading people. Guys, you can't stop at some stage. Now, apparently, there's a people who fought alongside the vampires. Now, this is some grey area bullshit already.
Mm.
And that's how it's dressed up. Listen, if you're gonna an eye for an eye, man, makes the whole freaking world blind. And
Yep.
you got to remember the fear people will have felt. Now, I know there's a limit to this and stuff like that, but you don't have to execute them. You put them on trial, you punish them in other ways. This is not the answer. And Alucard and Juice know this isn't right, but someone is pleased by it. Someone is pleased, saying they deserve it. Her soul and heart is filled with hate. And someone knows it. As he side-eyes her, Alucard side-eyes Maria with her delight, her enjoyment to a degree of these people being executed. It's fucking dark.
Yep. It is indeed.
But then that's not enough. Unbeknownst to them, watching from a distance, with what has to be the most horrifying grin on her face that I've ever seen, Terra is loving it too. But something else is loving it. And it towers above her. It is Old Man Coyote, the shadowy figure towering above Terra, pretty much confirming that she's either made a deal with it or it is controlling her. And that's how we end. And oh my God. Oh my God! Now, folks, as of the time of recording, so this final review is being recorded on Thursday, the 6th of February. So by the time this comes out, we will be a couple of weeks on. As of the time of recording, season 3 is not confirmed. However, we have moved in a very positive direction. It is smashing the fucking bars over at Netflix. And as we all know, what does Netflix want? You to watch. People are watching, and it's all testament to everyone going out there, reviewing, tweeting, talking about it online. Hell, we have a small part to play, but we are sitting here talking about it too, and hopefully you are too. That's what we do. We talk and we tell you to watch Nocturne, and it seems to be reflected. I am becoming more and more confident. Annoyingly, they were quick to confirm season 2. So within a week, season 2 was confirmed. It's been a little bit too long already. Come on, Netflix. Stop being dicks. Nobody wants a 3rd season of Squid Game. Nobody wanted a season 2 of it, let's be honest. So let's stop wasting money on another 100 serial killer documentaries. Let's put our money into something really, really good. Also, stop licensing shit songs for your trailers. Perhaps if you didn't pay Limp Bizkit a ton of money to play a song over Devil May Cry, which might be the worst trailer song ever, then you'd be able to afford stuff like this. Right? I'm being silly. It's all separate stuff. But basically, I'm a little bit more confident, but I'd just be really glad if it gets confirmed. If by the time this review is... No, I won't say that because I'll edit beforehand. No, I won't say that. But fingers crossed by the time this comes out, it's been confirmed and we're working our way towards a season 3, which no doubt will be a long time in the future. Regardless, this is an incredible final episode that puts a bow in it. Look, if we didn't get any more Nocturne, I'd still be satisfied. I'd be annoyed that we didn't get to resolve a couple of things, but you could argue the Mizrak Olrox thing doesn't need a resolution. It is tied up. All it is Olrox created a monster, and he's going to get what he deserves, basically. If it's subjugation to this monstrous Mizrak, how can 2 vampires love each other? Does that mean like they both soul it? That's an intriguing idea. But to not explore Terra and it, Mistopheles, Old Man Coyote, whatever it is, that would be really disappointing. But again, I won't be angry because it's still satisfying enough to see that direction where it went in. The problem I've got, right, is this. If they don't do a new Castlevania Nocturne and don't renew it, then we won't get a new Castlevania anything. This will be it.
Yeah.
If Castlevania Nocturne gets cancelled or doesn't get continued, I don't think Castlevania gets continued. And that will suck more than anything else. I want more from this universe, let alone this. I don't know what it's going to take, but like it's been so successful to this point. You kind of just hope that Netflix, I know, but they're a bunch of wankers who all want money. And if they don't get all the money all the time, like we can't be trusted. We can't rely on it.
That's
Fucking
the problem.
sucks.
Exactly. Yep.
But I love this episode. It really satisfied me. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And it is up there as one of my... See, it's really hard to say whether it's my favorite season of Castlevania overall because season 3 of the original Castlevania is special.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, for consistency, beginning to end, I don't think there's a bad episode.
Yeah, so I mean, overall, the entire Castlevania universe and the series wise, this is easily in my top three of greatest ever animated series I've watched. It is fantastic. It keeps me work. Every episode keeps you on the it makes me want to watch more and more and more. And I'm gutted that I literally watched the entire thing in 5 hours after waiting almost a year for season two. You know.
I wondered this. Do you think you'd rather have it episodically?
Yes, yeah, because it would have lasted longer.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm almost the same. I almost wish that we could do it week by week by week. Kind of how we review it. Even though I'd be annoyed at that, and The Last of Us season 2 is coming up, and that'll be week by week by week, and we'll get pissed off about that. But it just makes it last that little bit longer. And yeah, you can rewatch it, but what I mean. I'm kind of holding off now. What I'm planning to do is in about 6 months' time, when it's all dead and buried, is my wife has watched a few clips of Nocturne and thought it looked fantastic. So she's not watched any of I watch Castlevania alone because she doesn't
Mhm.
really like that sort of stuff. But she's intrigued enough that I've said to her, "Well, let's do Castlevania. Let's watch it again, but with friend with she's never seen it, so I'm going to watch it with her, and that's going to be a whole brand new level of excitement because I'll be sitting
Yeah,
there going, this bit's great and that bit's great and stuff like that." I've got a question for you. Now, go on. You're going to say something.
I was going to say that you'll be pausing it every 2 seconds. Did you get this bit? Did you see the
Yeah, yeah,
connection?
yeah, yeah, exactly that. But I have a question for you that I've struggled to answer. I think I've settled on it. Right. Obviously, being Castlevania, I'm not character-wise. It's all by choice. Who you love the most, who you enjoy the most, and stuff like that. I love Alucard and his role in the original Castlevania, but I love his role here. I love Richter. He's no Trevor, but he's not supposed to be. He's supposed to be a little bit different, and all of this. And
Yeah,
I think Nocturne has better secondary characters. As much as I love Cypher and characters like that, Annette, Maria, Terra, there's a lot more and a lot more detail in them. But
yeah.
it is an action series more than anything else. So, big fight wise here. Now, I wanted to compare the big fights in Nocturne to the big fights of the original Castlevania series. And basically, the biggest ones. And whether or not the fights either against Sekhmet or the fight against Super Trolta, if you think they are better than what we got in any of the fights of the original Castlevania. Now, to use some examples, these are my strongest fights from the original series.
Mm.
Alucard versus Dracula, that one. Um, Isaac versus I've forgotten the name. The
Camilla.
Thank you, Camilla.
Yeah,
Camilla. Isaac versus Camilla in her throne room. Um, Trevor versus Death. They're the three. I think they're the three that are the biggest of the original. Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Are any of them worse or better than what we get here?
I think out of those three, I think Trevor versus Death has got to be up there. It's got to be up there as one of the best because obviously, especially because the fact that obviously my first instinct, I thought he died. So obviously,
Of
spoiler.
course.
So,
Well, it's been out for long enough, so it's not a fucking spoiler. If you haven't watched it now, go and watch it. But see, I'm the same. I leant towards it as well because it's so spectacular. However, after giving it much thought, it is now, I think, the third best fight.
mm,
Actually dropped lower. So I think the big Sekhmet, so the Elizabeth Sekhmet fight against everyone and how involved that is and how detailed and how everybody gets to shine is a stronger fight overall. I don't rate the Super Gibraltar one because it is brief. It's supposed to be brief. But the
yeah,
Sekhmet one, I think, and how that plays out is simply stunning, particularly how it ends in tears.
mm,
And I realized because my number one fight is this to ones that have emotion. And it's still the best fight because not only is it spectacular and it goes all over the fucking place, but it involves the two most powerful characters in the show and with one of the saddest fight endings going. It is Alucard versus Dracula at the end of season 2. That is, look at what that does. Look where it goes. It's all over the fucking
yeah,
place. And then it just ends with Dracula realizing, oh, I'm trying to kill my son. The one thing that still reminds me of the love of my wife, and I'm trying to kill him. And then just gives up and just quietly dies, quietly lets Alucard kill him.
yeah.
That's not being topped.
It's deep, man. It's proper deep.
It's fucking spectacular. Oh, it makes me want to go back and watch it now. But there you go, folks. That is our wrap up of Nocturne Season 2, specifically Episode 8, Align of Great Heroes. You got any thoughts on this episode? How? The show overall? You know what to do? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed what you've seen, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It does help us out. You can find us at gbhbl.com and across all social media platforms. And if you really want to give us a bit of extra support, please consider buying us a cup of coffee over on our coffee page. Thank you.